If I ask all of you to open your phones and look at childhood pictures of yourselves, how many of you would truly feel that you are still that same person? Change is not something that we choose or ask for, but rather something we live with. It's that natural progression of our personalities that makes us human. The fact that our likes, our dislikes, they all evolve with time as we grow. But despite all of this change, at our core, we remain the same person, the same soul. What happens, however, when you force this change? When you force yourself to make fundamental modifications to your personality and your own self. This is a tragically common occurrence in this day and age, where people feel the need to abandon their true selves and not value their uniqueness simply to appear cooler or maybe just in an attempt to fit in with their peers better. This begs the question, what is it about today's world that makes people feel this type of pressure? Where they think that the only way to be happy and to make friends is to take a knife to their own self, chopping away the parts that someone else might deem undesirable. In the age of social media, what is worse than being called not cool? It feels like a death sentence. So, people carve away quirks. They silence opinions. They mold themselves not for happiness, but for acceptance. Our most important possession as human beings is our identity, our uniqueness. The fact that deep down, we're all different. We've led different lives, had different struggles, and each of us has our own story to tell. I'd like to introduce a thought experiment which I feel applies to this situation perfectly. The ship of Theseus. Picture a ship made of wooden planks being preserved in a museum. As time passes, it develops rot and has to be fixed up. Each of its planks are replaced one after the other until eventually each of the planks has been replaced at least once. What are we left with now? Is it the same ship that we started out with, or a new ship entirely? Most people argue that it's the latter. So now the question is, at what point did this ship become something else? At what point has enough change been made that it is now completely unrecognizable from the original? Each of us is our own ship of Theseus, with each plank being something that makes us ourselves. And each time we rip out a plank thinking that it's rotten, maybe our taste in music, maybe our sense of fashion, we stray farther and farther from our true self. This problem is most rampant in teenagers, which is obvious considering how easily influenced young minds are. I've been through my fair share of this pressure, wanting to find exactly the right set of planks that will make people like me and will make me accepted by the masses. Unfortunately, this type of modification of yourself, it does work. Change enough, and people around you will perceive you differently. And maybe you'll even feel happier. But take it from me, that fleeting sense of feeling accepted and being happy, it's not worth it. And it's not real. One day, you'll wake up, you'll look into the mirror, and you won't recognize the person who's looking back at you. When I switched schools at 16, I walked into a place where I knew absolutely no one. New corridors, new uniforms, new inside jokes that I wasn't aware of. Suddenly, it felt like my ship had been picked up and dropped into an entirely new ocean. And every plank that I had felt wrong for this new sea. So I started changing those planks. I laughed at jokes that I didn't find funny. I listened to music that I never would have willingly put on. I filed down the weird parts of my personality just to be let into somebody else's friend group. And for a while, it did work. I had people to sit with, I had chats to scroll through, and plans for the weekend. But here's the thing, even surrounded by people, I felt strangely hollow. Like the acceptance that I'd fought for didn't really belong to me. It felt like it belonged to this upgraded version of myself that I'd built. And standing there in this new school with this new and improved ship, I realized something quietly devastating. If these people didn't even know the real me, then their approval wasn't really mine to hold. And it certainly wasn't worth the planks that I'd torn out to get it. Now, I don't want to be misunderstood. Protecting your ship doesn't mean ignoring every storm or refusing to patch a leak. Sometimes the people around us can hold up a mirror that shows us things that we can't see for ourselves. Sometimes their opinions can contain grains of hard truth. It's up to us, however, to decide how to use that truth. There's a vast difference between changing to fit in and changing to grow. We can use this external advice to improve the quality of our own wood, making our existing planks stronger and more resilient, rather than just swapping them out for fake ones to please a crowd. That's not compromising your identity, that's refining it. You're just fixing up your plank so that it fits better and your ship, it sails smoother. We don't live our lives for anyone but ourselves. And we owe it to them to be the best and most authentic version of that person possible. We don't have to spend hours on end going around chasing for approval from people. Your ship, it's majestic and it's unique. And it deserves to be proudly showcased. So don't let anyone else be its captain. And don't let them tell you which planks are rotten and need to be thrown overboard. Those parts of you that you feel pressured to hide, maybe a cringy hobby, or maybe your passionate opinion, those aren't rotten planks. Those are your unique colors. They are the flags you fly. These are the only way that the people who are looking for you, your fleet, will ever be able to find you. If you paint your ship to look like everybody else's, then the people who are looking for you will just sail on by because of how you blend in. I want you to promise one thing to that person in your childhood photo. The next time you feel that pressure, that knife waiting in your hand, ready to cut away a part of yourself, you'll remember that person who didn't know how to fit in, who just was. And you'll put that knife down. You aren't replaceable, and neither are parts of yourself. And your story, it's worth protecting.